Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. Get the string fruit and become a puppet manipulator. Chapter 21. After Sasori showed his talent and hard work, Yi Kang had actually initially recognized Sasori as his fiancé in her heart. The reason why she said this now is just arrogant. As long as Chio does work again, Sasori is talking to him. She had a good exchange, and this happened. The next thing is simple. Yi Kang married into the puppet clan, the two clan married successfully, happy. But Sasori didn't think so. He had set the goal of crushing Yi Kang from the beginning. Even if Yi Kang's clothes were soft, he would not give up easily. What's more, Yi Kang is still proud now, and immediately Sasori, so it's a heads up. I'm afraid I will kill you if I strike too hard. The power of scorch style can't be controlled. Yi Kang was stunned for a moment, but soon his face became gloomy, and the slightest goodwill that had been raised for some of them disappeared in an instant. I just ask you, dare you dare? It's just that before Yi Kang's ruthless words were finished, Sasori interrupted Yi Kang's words directly, and repeated the challenge again. I'm afraid of you, a guy who didn't even get the qualifications of a ninja. I'm afraid that I will kill you by mistake. It's not easy to explain to the puppet clan. Sasori's wicked tone immediately caused Yi Kang's anger to surge rapidly. Inexplicably, he didn't want to fight with Sasori. Yi Kang's family was unknown in the Kingdom of Wind. She wanted to get on the thighs of the puppet family by marriage. It is clear that once he wins Sasori, then things are really irreversible. If I die, it means that I am not qualified to stand in this world. If you are beaten by me, some tragedies have happened, no one can blame others, don't you dare. At this time, as long as Sasori gave up the challenge, Yi Kang was fine, but Sasori sneered and asked Yi Kang back. You're looking for death. Okay, I'm with you. Yi Kang, who was born in an ordinary background, has climbed up all the way by relying on talent and strength. What he hates most is that others question her strength. This kind of sneer is often seen on the faces of others when Yi Kang is not so strong yet. Kang's anger was about to lose his mind in a blink of an eye, but Chio woke up in time at this time and coughed lightly on the side. I'll let you see my strength, so that you can retreat in the face of difficulties. Immediately, Yi Kang also woke up, and immediately shot at Sasori as soon as his voice turned, and he wanted to show Sasori some color. Hakura's speed was extremely fast, and in the next moment he suddenly appeared in front of Sasori, and kunai put it on Sasori's neck. Hidan frowned not far away, and asked himself, if he had been replaced by him in the previous raid, he would not be able to dodge. But the corners of Hidan's mouth will be enough next moment. Sasori is not him. Innate talent and strength are different. You are not yet qualified. Hakura stared at Sasori with a very sincere gaze. She didn't want to embarrass Sasori, but she didn't want to embarrass herself. She has too many reasons to be strong. But before Yi Kang's words were finished, Sasori, whose neck was pressed by kunai, slammed forward, and kunai's fingers directly pierced Sasori's neck. Yi Kang was stunned immediately. He had no idea that Sasori would make such a move. He is committing suicide. He actually killed the hope of revival for the puppet clan. Just when Yi Kang's whole body fell into a sluggishness, the crow that was originally behind Sasori suddenly opened its forearms and stretched out 4 sharp blades on Yi Kang's neck. Originally, Yi Kang didn't stop there, but her heart was plunged into extreme chaos at the moment, and then she was hit by the crow. Am I qualified to challenge you now? Sasori, who was pierced in the neck by Yekora, wore a weird smile, then turned into countless silk threads and scattered, but the real Sasori didn't know when he appeared by Hidan's side. Just now, Chio, who had been silent all the time, showed a look of surprise once again, and Sasori gave her too much surprise. This kind of growth rate can no longer be described by genius. Some kind of avatar secret technique, I didn't even notice it. Ebizo, who didn't want to show up, also appeared next to Chio. His surprise was no less than Chio. Although Ebizo's strength was not strong, his eyesight was poisonous. When Sasori danced with the crow, he was always able to pass the flow and subtle movements of chakra. The difference tells who is the real body. But Ebizo never found out when Sasori became a clone. It has been a long time since no one can hide from his eyes. After 10 days, I will not be merciful. After a long time, Yi Kang came back to his senses. His face was extremely ugly, and he jumped away. He looked at Sasori with cold eyes and turned and disappeared into the wind and sand. This time she lost. If she used all her strength at the beginning, Sasori would definitely not. There will be a chance to attack her. That's great, because neither will I. Sasori smiled, retracted all the lines and crows, and turned his gaze to Chio. It was time to inform the third assessment. Maybe it's really the world of young people now. The third test is Nianhua Wushwang. It is required to be able to control 3 puppets at the same time to fight against each other. Nianhua Wushwang is also included in medical ninjutsu special use. After Hakura's departure, Chio's expression became extremely complicated, and Sasori's growth rate completely exceeded his expectations. With a deep emotion, Chio used a special technique in the special application of medical ninjutsu that Sasori took out and opened a new seal. The information about Nianhua Wushwang appeared in front of Sasori. Nianhua Wushwang. It is different from a dozen pages of Transfiguration Thousand Fingers. There are only 3 pages, but the content on it is more profound. Sasori glanced at it roughly, but he couldn't understand it. Yi Kang's scorch style is powerful, what do I need to tell me? Just when Sasori was about to study Nianhua Wushwang on the spot, Chio seemed to interrupt Sasori's actions, instead turning the topic back to Yakora. Although Sasori's growth rate is fast enough, in Chio's eyes, Sasori's actual combat experience and Hakura ratio are still lacking. The fact that Hakura was restrained just now was just a carelessness. Hakura didn't even use scorch style, so Chio felt a little help to Sasori. No, there is no free lunch in this world, you can only rely on your own hands to become stronger, Grandma, you taught me this. It's just that Sasori smiled, and immediately rejected Chio, repeating the path Chio originally gave him. It's really the same as your father. Chio was stunned for a moment. The smile that Sasori had just reminded her of when she was young. Sasori's father was so stubborn. Once again, Chio stopped talking, and disappeared directly with Ebizo in the desert of Windy Land. In the scattered wind and sand. What do you think of handing over the puppet clan to Sasori? On the way back, Chio suddenly asked Ebizo. We need to look at it again. It's too early to make a decision. There are many geniuses who die. Ebizo shook his head without hesitation. In this age of war, there are too many geniuses, and there are too few geniuses who can survive the monofilament until the end. Only geniuses who can withstand the test of time are true geniuses. What are you doing with that ugly monster? Do you really want to marry her? Hidan, who was also walking to the country of Sichuan, also looked at Sasori suspiciously. When he knew that Sasori was practicing so hard to defeat Yi Kang and let her continue to be his fiancée, Hidan couldn't understand it. Ugly. Sasori didn't answer Hidan's question immediately, but questioned Hidan's aesthetics. Yi Kang did not grow too bad, and coupled with his years of physical exercises, his figure is also good. If he is ugly, let alone the marriage contract, Sasori is afraid. She had been killed long ago, why did Yi Kang become an ugly monster in Hidan's mouth? Not plump at all, isn't it ugly? Do you want to marry her so much? Hidan flattened his mouth, and disdainfully told Sasori his definition of beauty and ugliness, and at the same time asked rhetorically. Yes, let's breathe a sigh of life, I'm going to make a decision for this fiancé. Sasori nodded firmly, showing a sneer. People can't live in the world to fight for a breath, and Yi Kang's breath can't be swallowed. I really can't understand your aesthetics, so what shall we do now? Seeing Sasori's determination, Hidan stopped talking nonsense. He originally thought that Sasori was going to return to the laboratory, but found that they were not moving in the laboratory. Go to the country of Sichuan to buy things, the wealth of Cthulhu is not useless. You can find someone to rebuild your scythe, it's all damaged, and it's not powerful enough. The black spear is left to you by Asa, and you need to find a craftsman. Maintenance and repair. Sasori set the heads up day after 10 days, just to give himself some time to prepare. At the beginning, he got a lot of money from Cthulhu. The money Sasori and Hidan has been useless. Now is the time to make a move, Hidan. Both of his flying sickle and black spear need repair and maintenance, and he also needs new materials to refine new puppets. If you don't tell me, I didn't pay attention. Just do it. With hindsight, Hidan, who was unresponsive, realized that his scythe was full of gaps. After a few hours, Sasori and Hidan entered the main village of Kawano Kuni after a simple disguise. The market and various shops here are the most complete. Hidan used to come here often with Munda, so he was familiar with the road, and soon took Sasori to the underground black market. Sasori has always defined the underground black market as expensive things to buy, but it has not really changed until today. It turns out that the black market is not store black, but things black. Most of the things that can be sold here are caused by problems. In this era of war, making money is the most popular. Ninjas from various countries to intact ninja corpses are all on the sales list, but these finished things are relatively expensive, and the materials Sasori needs are low in price. In a material shop, there are all kinds of wooden materials. These wooden materials come from all over the world, and even many of the materials in the puppet art forging concept given by Chiyo have no annotations. However, it is obvious that these materials have been removed from various weapons and armors, and many of them even carry traces of cut marks and ninjutsu. However, Sasori was not interested in such a large number of wooden materials. His gaze was immediately focused on a huge warhammer. This warhammer was so huge that the size of the hammer alone was about the same as Sasori's body, but this handle the warhammer has been destroyed, and Sasori is not looking at this warhammer, but the thigh-thick handle on the warhammer that is nearly 2 meters long. This is the finest Phoebe chestnut, light, hard and fire-resistant. It is an excellent choice for the main body of the puppet. The owner of the shop is an able-looking uncle with a mustache. At a glance, he can tell that Sasori's goal is the handle of the warhammer. He glanced at the crow covered with bandages behind Sasori's back. He immediately pulled out the handle of the warhammer and lifted it up. In front of Sasori, he said in one sentence what Sasori wanted this chestnut tree to do. Sasori's eyes narrowed, neither admitting nor denying, but instead asked, "Are there any other recommendations?" "Oh, it's calm. There are some Juin Runmu here. They are the best materials for the production of activity organs. There are not many of them. You can start as soon as possible." Mustache raised his brows and sighed with emotion. He took out some round wooden balls painted in black from a ragged armor and threw them in front of Sasori. There is also a large iron wood core, which is not inferior to metal in hardness, lighter in weight, and has high ninjutsu resistance, but the price is a bit expensive. The mustache was very numb and removed a lot of wooden materials from various broken weapons and armors. After introducing the functions, the price was also thrown in front of Sasori. "I want it all." Sasori can see that this Uncle Mustache is still very sincere in his business. The unusable wooden materials are still on those weapons. The ones thrown to Sasori are all intact, and the technique is very skillful, and the parts that were removed are not hurt at all. Texture, obviously this mustache is a master. The mustache is easy to talk. Sasori will naturally not twitch, pay directly and prepare to leave. Anyway, it is not that the money he earned is not distressed. "It's been a long time since I saw such a refreshing guest. This is a gift for you. This is the first time that this kind of wood is scary. It has good toughness and is scary. It's too light, no one buys it, it's cheaper for you." Just as Sasori was leaving, the mustache casually threw a white wooden stick with only a thin wooden arm to him. "Thanks." Sasori's gaze brightened. This was a must for making some intricate puppets. He immediately accepted it unceremoniously and followed Hidan to another blacksmith's shop. "Hey, young man, my vision is very poisonous. Why do you want to hit a dagger? This is cloud iron, the lightest of all metals, and the toughest. It is plated with a layer of stainless steel, it is strong enough, and it does not reflect light. Accept custom orders." As soon as he entered the blacksmith shop, Sasori started looking for various metals. Soon an Uncle Blacksmith found Sasori, but obviously not everyone has the eyes of Uncle Mustache, just staring at Sasori with full eyes, because of Sasori's with a large bag of materials on his back. Those who can buy so many materials on the underground black market are definitely rich people. "Help me use the hardest metal to tailor him a large enough scythe. This is the rough design, and then rent a workshop. This is a week's rent, is it enough?" Sasori ignited Hidan and gave a design sketch to the blacksmith. At the same time, there was a pile of money. Sasori didn't plan to hand over his puppet parts to others to build. "Enough." The blacksmith immediately became excited when he saw such a pile of money, and took Sasori into a forging room that was originally his apprentice. This is the main village in the country of the river. Don't be too eye-catching. You are now a rat crossing the street. After exhorting Hidan, Sasori entered the crafting room and locked the door. Catch-type black ants. The ants should look like ants, they are not black horses. After spreading the design drawing of the black ant shape in front of him, Sasori flattened his mouth, and immediately changed the black ant's horse head and began to formally forge. Ha ha ha, it's so easy. I can't wait to find someone to try it. A week's time is fleeting. When Sasori came out of the crafting room with dark circles under her eyes, he just happened to see Hidan holding his brand new flying sickle and couldn't put it down. The brand new flying sickle is about the same height as Hidan's. The tail end has a lock attached to another small hook sickle. The black short spear has also been modified to be more polished and sharp. There are many people, let's go. Sasori smiled and nodded at Hidan. He laid a lot of spider threads outside in advance. As a result, many of these spider threads have been touched, and Sasori found that the spider threads were connected to the ears in addition to warning, can also eavesdrop on the voice of the person touching the line. Many people have gathered outside. One is because Sasori and Hidan look like soft persimmons, and they are also generous, and the other is that flying is not the master who can calm down, dangling in the black market every day. Cthulhu, the identity of has been exposed. The followers of the Cthulhu in the Kingdom of the River have been rewarded with a sky-high price. After Sasori and Hidan left the blacksmith's shop, they cooperated and turned into an empty alley. After a while, 6 ninjas followed quickly into the alley. Ha ha ha, so cool, gone. About an hour and a half later, Sasori and Hidan reappeared at the entrance of the alley. Hidan had a cheerful face and was wearing Madara's bloodline. Sasori hadn't changed at all, and waved at Hidan. Behind the two of them are 6 ninjas of different strengths and depths, and everyone has the same thing in common, that is, a face full of fear, as if they have seen something incredible. On the appointed day, Yi Kang had already waited at the appointed place early. Chio and Ebizo had also waited for Sasori's appearance not far away. The sun had already set west, but Sasori still did not appear. Just as the sun began to sink into the horizon, Sasori appeared in the center of the setting sun, and the elongated figure slowly walked towards Yi Kang. I thought you were afraid to come. Yi Kang sneered, and immediately assumed a fighting posture. In order to get rid of the chasing soldiers of the country of Sichuan, let's start parasite string. Sasori smiled, and after explaining it, the battle started without any nonsense, and the middle finger hooked, and the parasite string popped to Yi Kang first. Scorch style, flame coat. Hakura had been responsible for Sasori's secret safety for the past few months. He knew Sasori's methods quite well. He immediately sneered. His hands were quickly sealed, and his body surface was wrapped in a layer of orange flame, and he just fell to the leaves. The parasite string on the tank was burned. Tisk, the connection can be blown unexpectedly, double bullet string. When Sasori raised his brow, he knew that things would never be that simple. Yi Kang's flame coat directly defeated Sasori's parasite string, but Sasori never thought that he would defeat Yi Kang so easily. He immediately stretched out his hands and locked it. The 2 vital points of Yi Kang launched an attack. Scorch style, sparks. Yi Kang quickly sealed the seal again, and countless fireballs the size of the tail finger ejected from Yi Kang's mouth, not only offsetting the bullet string shot by Sasori, but also enveloped Sasori's location. Sasori has never relaxed his physical exercises. When countless fireballs came, he fled away, and the crow behind him was also liberated. Scorch style, too much steaming. It's just that Sasori's physical skills are far from Yi Kang's opponent. Sasori has just liberated the crow, and Yi Kang has appeared in front of him, directly and ruthlessly resorting to her most powerful overkill. The person who is hit by this trick will be directly evaporated the water in the body. Puff. Sasori reacted quickly. Yi Kang's dagger failed to hit Sasori, but stabbed the crow's body. Even if the puppet is killed by oversteaming, it will be evaporated and become even more vulnerable. Broken me. Turn around and kick. Yi Kang snorted coldly. He was completely blocked by the crow. Yi Kang's tactic was to crush Sasori's puppet first. The naked eye can see the steam coming out of the crow, and her scorch style is not only effective for people. All objects that contain moisture are all effective. With a cold snort, Yi Kang immediately supported the ground with one hand, and a 180-degree revolving kick came on the spot, slamming the part where the crow was hit. Boom. It's just different from the scene where Yi Kang imagined it was kicked into pieces at a glance. The crow just made a muffled noise, appeared a slight depression, and did not appear to burst like Yi Kang imagined. How is this possible? Your scorch style is more powerful than fire style, and it can directly evaporate the moisture in the object. So I chose the chestnut wood that has almost no moisture and is non-flammable to recreate the crow's shell. Of course, just in case, I am here. Metal is built into the inside of the crow to increase its hardness. Blocking Yi Kang's attack, Sasori sneered, and explained to Yi Kang calmly, while the fingers controlling the crow swayed quickly. The crow could not be kicked and destroyed, so Yi Kang was taken aback. The crow kicked by him moved quickly with the counter-shock force. The four arms ejected sharp blades and attacked Yi Kang suddenly, and the sharp blade flashed green. The ray of light was obviously poisonous, and at the same time the crow's jaw fell off, and countless black poisonous needles were ejected from the crow's mouth. Although Yi Kang was taken aback, his reaction speed was indeed extremely sensitive. In addition to scorch style, Yi Kang was also a master of physical skills. Like a nimble loach, it cleverly escaped from the attack of 4 poisonous knives and poisonous needles, and 3 kunai with scorch-style small fireballs were thrown at Sasori. No one would want to harden Yi Kang's scorch style, and immediately dodge it slightly, but with just such a gap in the operation, Yi Kang's movements suddenly accelerated, came under the crow, and past the crow's defensive line, rushed straight to Sasori. A dog who is close to the puppet master is not as good as a dog. Scorch style. Over-steaming. When Sasori recovered, Yi Kang's kuwu had already arrived. At the same time, Yi Kang was also full of sneers and mockery. In a hurry, Sasori could only raise his right arm to resist, and immediately Hakura's kunai was inserted into Sasori's right arm, but Sasori was not steamed dry. It was the stabbed arm, like Sasori who was pierced in the neck, turned into silk threads and spread out, and more silk threads appeared from Sasori's body. I guessed you were fake a long time ago. Do you think the same trick would work for me? Come out. Don't hide. Yi Kang sneered, and did not hesitate to reflexively attack the chasing crow. Not surprisingly, his attack failed. Although Sasori's physical skills were not strong, they were not so weak. Obviously, this was the secret technique that Sasori used in the beginning that could not be seen through the clone. Who told you that I was fake? Do you know why I showed my Shadow Knight string years ago? I caught you. Just the moment Yi Kang turned around, Sasori, who was online just now, suddenly twitched the corner of her mouth. His left hand, which had not moved, suddenly tickled, and another puppet rushed out from the ground. A black ant with a hideous ant king's head stands upright. The abdomen opened wide, shutting the unsuspecting Yi Kang directly into the abdomen. Black secret technique. One shot. Sasori's 10 fingers pulled quickly, and as many as 10 fingers of the crow and the black ant fell off. At the base of the arm is a venomous blade. With Sasori's scream, he pierced the hole in the black ant's abdomen. Scorch style. Scorching. But at the same time, Yi Kang also let out a roar in the black ant's belly, and countless fiery red lights came from the hole in the black ant's belly. Boom. Seeing that the machine was about to hit Yi Kang, the violent explosion exploded in the abdomen of the black ant. Countless sawdust and sparks are everywhere. It's just that such a fierce explosion didn't let the black ants explode. It was just slightly damaged. Unfortunately, the time of the explosion was just right, and it detonated at the moment the sharp blade pierced, destroying all the sharp blades. In order to prevent a strong attack from destroying the Phoebe chestnut that constitutes the main body of the black ant, I added a layer of ironwood core that is not harder than metal in the Phoebe chestnut, and the combination of the two is the extremely tough cloud iron, which is stretched. Toughness or enough to trap you. Although Sasori's black secret skills were blocked, he didn't care at all, and with his fingers moved again, the sharp blade that had not been completely blown up floated again. At the same time, he explained to Yi Kang with a cold face, his black ants were specially made for Yi Kang. Scorch style. Fly away. Yi Kang's face was full of anger. She had no idea that she would be forced to this point, throwing several kunai with fireballs from the bombed gap. Shoot at Sasori. Ding ding ding. A series of golden and iron symphony sounded. Sasori's last puppet appeared in front of him. The Sancho fish with the mask of the Ghost King stood in front of Sasori, and the mask of the Ghost King stared at Yekora with a grin. This is my third puppet, a defensive puppet Sancho fish. Black secret skills. Poisonous bombs. Sasori sneered, and immediately hooked his finger. The Sancho fish suddenly opened its huge mouth and sprayed a large swath of poisonous mist. You underestimated me. Scorch style. Flame knife. But Yi Kang, who was trapped at the same time, also roared. A flame like a sword flashed from the belly of the black ant. The black ant was split in half instantly. The poisonous mist was also evaporated by the heat on the flame knife. The next moment Yi Kang rushed out of the poisonous mist, and kunai pierced Sasori's abdomen directly. It's just that Yi Kang didn't expect it. Sasori turned into a thread again and started to unravel. The crow's head was held in his hand by Sasori, and the third eye between the crow's brows opened instantly. Realizing that Sasori, who was hit by him, became linear again, he immediately appeared a little bit of hesitation. Is this Sasori's real body or Sasori's clone? Just now Sasori used the same trick, which put her in a dilemma. In such a moment of hesitation, the third eye of the crow's head held by Sasori suddenly opened, and a colorful silver needle was shot against Yi Kang's body. Although Yi Kang tried to hide, he was still a step too late, the arm shot by this silver needle. In an instant, Yi Kang felt that all the strength of his body was lost, and at this time, Sasori in front of Yi Kang completely turned into a silk thread, a clone. And the real Sasori floated up from the ground not far away. The real Sasori is hiding in the ground and manipulating a puppet. Hakura just wanted to launch an attack at Sasori, but his feet were soft, and he suddenly realized that the strength of his whole body had disappeared in one breath, and he didn't even have the strength to act. What a poison! Actually, my own attacks and nonsense for so long are just to attract your attention. I know that your individual strength is stronger than mine, but the puppet master does not rely on the ability to fight, otherwise it will be meaningless. Puppet. In addition to the puppet, the master also poisoned the Grand Master. Sasori appeared in front of Yi Kang with a strong sarcasm at the corner of his mouth. A few months ago, Sasori was still despised by Yi Kang, but a few months later, he was able to defeat her without relying on anyone. Seeing the incredible expression on Yi Kang's face, don't mention how cool Sasori is. When will you? Yi Kang was already struggling to speak, but she still gritted her teeth and asked. She really couldn't figure out when Sasori escaped her eyes and escaped into the ground. Before Yi Kang's words were finished, his tongue was already paralyzed, and the effect of this poison was so strong. Moreover, Yi Kang found that the scene in front of her had begun to change, and the sky was scattered with sakura flowers, and she was already in a fantasy world. When did you hide underground? Right. The moment you were locked into the black ant, I used the Shadow Knight string in the earth style to enter the underground. You don't think I can't know how to ninjutsu? Sasori took Hakura's words. In order to confuse Hakura, Sasori has never used any ninjutsu, but in fact, Sasori knows a lot of ninjutsu, but they are all hidden ninjutsu. After Yi Kang was imprisoned by the black ants, Yi Kang was still able to crack his machine. Sasori guessed that the black ants might not be able to completely trap Yi Kang, so he used earth style to hide at the moment of the explosion. Underground, while using Shadow Knight string to replace his own position. Yi Kang gritted her teeth and wanted to stand up again, but no matter how hard she tried, her body had already lost control. You don't have to do unnecessary struggles. This is the poison dream I prepared. It will cause hallucinations in 3 seconds, paralysis in 5 seconds, and death in 10 seconds. It is the only dream left, and the rest is drunk by an idiot. Up. Sasori smiled, lit the silver needle still stuck in the back of Yi Kang's hand, and introduced it with a little pride. It's a pity that this kind of medicine was also accidentally configured by him. After that, no matter how Sasori configured it, he couldn't make it exactly the same. Yes, glaring at Hidan, who was watching the battle in the distance, Sasori took out a blue potion from his arms. You are my fiancé and will not let you die. This is another poison. If you fight with poison, you will not die, but the hallucinations and paralysis will not be relieved. At the same time, after the 2 drugs are neutralized, it will become. I have won, so as agreed, you are already my trophy. This cyan potion is not an antidote, but another poison, but it can neutralize the hallucinogenic toxicity and prevent death. Sasori has no regrets pinching Yi Kang's cheek and pouring it down, and directed at Yi Kang. There was a weird smile that made Yi Kang's heart tremble. Grandma, I took the person away, so you don't have to follow, my person I will train myself. Putting away the 3 puppets, Sasori carried Yi Kang, who was unable to move, and jumped into the Grand Canyon, disappearing into the sight of everyone. Ebizo's brow furrowed and he was ready to follow, but Hidan was in the direction of Sasori's disappearance. What it meant was self-evident. Ebizo's face was cold and he was ready to shoot immediately, but he was pulled by Chio. The young man's matter, let the young man take care of it himself, not to mention that Yi Kang has already lost thoroughly this time. If she still refuses to accept and has any more thoughts, then... Chio smiled bitterly and shook his head. Before finishing speaking, he walked towards Sunagaku. From the previous battle, Chio had understood that Sasori had basically mastered Nianhua Wushwang, so the next step was to arrange for him to enter Sunagaku and join in the puppet family. The 2 trips of Sunagaku and the puppet clan are not like this. Nianhua Wushwang puts it plainly, that is, letting consciousness become multiple at the same time, and one person controls multiple puppets to fight, giving people a kind of independent consciousness for each puppet. What is emphasized is an understanding, which cannot be compensated by hard work and diligence. Menziman Ninhua Wushwang has reached the realm of 1,000 Nianwak. If you control it, you can control thousands of puppets at the same time. However, it is a pity that Menziman's transfiguration 1,000 fingers have reached the realm of the same operation. Ebizo snorted coldly and glared at Hidan. Zan even followed Chio and left. Although Sasori's eyes were malicious, they had no intention of killing, so there was no need to worry about Yi Kang's safety. Even if Sasori really killed Yi Kang, it didn't matter to Sasori at this moment. It took less than 5 months to complete the 3 assessments of the Patriarch of the Puppet Clan, and every one of them was broken. The Patriarch's record defeated Jonin Yi Kang, and independently created 3 puppets with unique functions. All of these have proven the value of Sasori. There is a cave at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. This is where Sasori temporarily sheltered when he first practiced alone. It has not been back for almost 4 months, but because Sasori spilled tiger dung around the cave, it has not been there. Occupied by sand wolves and other beasts. What do you want? Sasori placed Hakura on the stone couch covered with animal skins, and simply tore off Hakura's tattered purple battle uniform. After the 2 poisons were neutralized, as Sasori said, Yi Kang's life was saved, but he was weak. But when Sasori dropped Yi Kang in his battle suit, Yi Kang suddenly woke up from the hallucinations. Don't worry, the effects of the 2 drugs are fully effective after neutralization. It takes about half an hour. I will restore my strength first and help you treat your injury by the way. Sasori's men kept moving, opening the scroll seal one after another, taking out several potions, and preparing to treat Yi Kang's wounds. In the battle between the 2 just now, Yi Kang was defeated, especially the burning explosion in the belly of the black ant. She suffered a lot of skin injuries. Taking out a bottle of medicine specially used to treat the burning, Sasori glanced over the smooth skin of Hakura's body. How could I not? You. When Yi Kang joined the world early, she naturally understood what Sasori was saying, and suddenly realized that it might be possible soon. Cut. Go to hell. Just when Sasori started to smear her, the abnormality popped up. Yi Kang's right hand suddenly lifted up. A silver needle with a small amount of colorful potions was sandwiched between her fingers and pierced Sasori's side. However, the corners of Sasori's mouth still wore a weird smile, and he didn't even stop the movements of his hands. Yi Kang is an elite Jonin, and he has a good relationship with the puppets. How could he not be poisoned? Therefore, Yi Kang has been taking various antitoxic drugs, and his body has been exposed to most of the general poisons. Antibodies are produced. It's true that Sasori accidentally modulated Dream to be too toxic, which made Yekora recruit. After Sasori used another poison on Yekora to neutralize the Dream, Yekora regained a little bit of strength. When tearing, Yi Kang was actually able to barely raise her hand, but in order to be able to counterattack, Yi Kang has been accumulating strength. Her combat uniform and weapons were all removed by Sasori. Her only chance to come back is to still stabbing her the poisonous needle on the back of the hand. Sure enough, Yi Kang endured the humiliation for so long, and finally waited for the opportunity to fight back. Even if Sasori has the antidote in her hand, she will have to go through the same weakness as expected, and she has passed such a long time, and with her poison resistance, she will definitely recover earlier than Sasori. After she recovers, Sasori must look good. But what Yekora didn't expect was that Sasori was extremely calm. There is even a weird curve hanging from the corner of the mouth. Oh, it's amazing. I made such a low-level mistake and didn't take the poison needle from the back of your hand. Pulling out the silver needle pierced into the flesh and blood, Sasori took out the medicine unhurriedly and injected it into the place where Yakura hit, while lamenting the mistakes he made without sincere feelings. No matter how you look at it, Sasori's expression looks like he deliberately didn't take the poisonous needle. And why there are 3 kinds of medicines Sasori injected into the body. And only gave her a kind of poison. Fortunately, for all poisons, I will give myself an antidote beforehand, and did I not tell you, what effect will the 2 poisons in you produce after neutralizing each other? It is a powerful hallucinogenic medicine. I just want to forget it, there is no way now. Oh, I got poisoned. Just when Yi Kang was full of doubts, the arc of Sasori's mouth suddenly became a little bit worse. Cut. Although her consciousness had begun to appear chaotic, she still woke up. Sasori did it on purpose. Yes, I did it on purpose. I just want to give you hope, and then make you desperate. Cut. The inexplicable depression, the pressure on the boundary between life and death, and the anger of Yi Kang's contempt, all vented overnight. When Sasori woke up, he just raised his head and was stunned when he opened his eyes. There are also open eyes in front of him. Hakuro was staring at Sasori with a gloomy face. Sasori's sleeping posture was not very good last night. Yi Kang flushed immediately and snorted. Good morning, if you are not convinced, you can fight again. Sasori smiled and greeted Yi Kang as if nothing had happened. Yi Kang blushed and gritted his teeth. Immediately turn against the guest. Sasori sneered, and countless silk threads flew out with his hands. Yi Kang's body was instantly restrained by the silk threads. Crows, black ants and sansho fish also stood up from the ground and appeared behind Yi Kang. As long as Sasori's thoughts move, both the silk thread and the puppet will kill Yakura. In order to prevent Yakura from using ninjutsu, Sasori uses special potions to seal her chakra, so as to ensure that she will not be caught at a critical time. She uses scorch style. And Yi Kang's physical strength has not recovered at this moment. To put it bluntly, Yi Kang at this moment is just a weak, outstanding ninja. Before she can do anything extraordinary, Sasori is absolutely sure to kill her. Come again. What Sasori didn't expect was, hey. The effect should have been lifted. Sasori came back to his senses after a while. Yi Kang's state was obviously problematic at the moment. Although she had a lot of restrictions, the effect of the powerful hallucinogen had definitely passed. I have never lost in any aspect. Don't make me look down on you. Yi Kang's movements didn't stop at all, and he started to provoke him. The movements of Yakura and the expression on his face immediately energized Sasori's clone. Why don't you play your cards according to common sense? I think the next plot is that you violently kill, flee, and become San Shinobi. Of course, if you fail to succeed, you have to say otherwise. Sasori hugged Yi Kang, and at the same time looked at Yi Kang puzzledly. Sasori always felt that Yi Kang had any purpose, and even the madness before death was possible. So although it was, all of Sasori's guards did not dissipate, and even more silk threads appeared around the 2 of them. I thought about it, but our family will be annihilated because of my behavior, and all my relatives will die. Even if the San Shinobi High Level does not act, the Puppet Clan can make our family irresistible. The anger of a 1,000-generation mother-in-law is not so easy to bear. This is the sorrow of our little family. Even if we have the blood succession boundary, nothing will change. Yi Kang glared at Sasori fiercely. In fact, she woke up a long time ago. She had thought about the things that Sasori said, but in addition, Sasori was originally her fiancé. These special conditions made Yi Kang's heart not so angry as imagined. Yi Kang has never been an impulsive person, she has always regarded the village and family very importantly. It is even more unlikely that the family will fall into a deadly place because of impulse. You may not know, I was betting with a 1,000-generation mother-in-law, as long as you can complete the practice of turning thousands of fingers, you can be your fiancé with peace of mind. From the previous battles, you can see that you might even have mastered Nianhua Wushwang. Now, such a genius, what am I dissatisfied with? And the reason why Yi Kang was initially dissatisfied that Sasori was her fiancé was her strength. Now both Sasori's potential and strength have convinced Yi Kang. This man, is likely to be the next patriarch of the Puppet Clan. Yi Kang sees this thoroughly. The experience of these years tells me that if I can't resist, then I should learn to enjoy. Anyway, I am already yours, because it makes you hate, it is better to make you satisfied with my performance. After that, Yi Kang. Cut. With a sound, I was once again submerged in the sound of wind and sand. I thought women in every world are the same, so don't all women believe in pure and beautiful love? When she patted Yi Kang who was lying on her body, Sasori was a little emotional. She had always wanted to capture a girl's heart only through a time-wasting love. It seems this is not the case in this world full of iron and blood. I never believe in pure love. Those are used to deceive ignorant girls. Feelings can be cultivated. After a long time, two people will naturally have feelings. And even if you want to take a concubine, as long as it is for our overall benefit, if it is favorable, I will not oppose it either. Yi Kang shook. She was able to stand all the way from a member of a small family to where she is today. It was because she had seen through too many things. Her parents were married and it was also her father who snatched her mother back from the defeated village. Yes, the relationship between the two was very stiff at first, but after a long time, the two naturally developed feelings. And what makes Sasori speechless the most is that Yi Kang even accepts Sasori's concubine. Suddenly Sasori's psychology became excited. You have finished your words. What else can I say? Men should be majestic. We don't have a life or death feud. Beautiful women are always liked no matter when they are, especially those who take the initiative and make sense. Let's go on. This is what Hakura said, and Sasori naturally had nothing to say, and immediately hooked his finger, and two medicines were injected into Sasori and Hakura respectively. Yi Kang, who had been exhausted, found his strength and returned to him again. Sasori's talent in potions may even surpass his talent in puppets. He has all kinds of potions with magical effects. Cut. You have passed the 3 tests of the Puppet Clan. Come back to the village with me, the Puppet Clan needs an elite like you. When the red-faced Sasori and the tired-faced Hakura appeared in front of Chio, Chio showed a satisfied smile, and she did not ask what the two of them did on the day and night that disappeared. Instead, he smiled directly at Sasori. Nianhua Wushwang's assessment in the Battle of Sasori, Chio knew that Sasori had mastered the trick. Under his control, the crow and the black ant showed extremely independent aspects, while the Nianhua Wushwang's assessment only required simultaneous manipulation. The two puppets are like a two-person cooperation, and Sasori not only shows the third puppet Sancho Fish, but also perfectly integrates the tactics of that special clone's secret technique. Good. Sasori nodded, and immediately looked at Yi Kang and his Hidan, who was looking at him with a puzzled face not far away, beckoning him to follow. Your friend can't, his identity is too sensitive. It's just that Ebizo got in the way of Hidan right away. After the Cthulhu cult was destroyed, the research on the immortal body was revealed. This research immediately attracted the attention of Kawa no Kuni. Perhaps some people do not pursue strength, but immortality is everyone's pursuit, so Kawa no Kuni has developed a sky-high reward for the remnants of Cthulhu. If Hidan followed Sasori back to the country of sand like this, his character would soon reveal his identity, which is not what the puppet family would like to see. It's okay, I was just about to get rid of him and practice alone, and my strength hasn't grown much recently. Sasori's brow furrowed, and he was ready to speak up and insist on his own opinion, but Hidan opened his mouth first, with a giggling expression on his face, which made Sasori's heart inexplicably sour. But Sasori understood that it was time to say goodbye. The mountains and rivers have met, we will meet soon, don't be killed. Sasori punched Hidan's heart lightly, looking straight into Hidan's eyes. This should be what I told you, have you forgotten that I am immortal? Hidan froze for a moment, then responded with a punch and smiled at Sasori. Remember to leave the contact signal, I will find you, and then take you to continue to do very interesting things. Okay, I will wait for you. The two exchanged a last word, and then each walked towards the country of the wind and the country of the river. The two people had just taken 2 steps. Suddenly, Hidan turned around and asked Sasori loudly, Sasori, are we friends? Nonsense, what are you talking about? Sasori turned around and glanced at Hidan, and at the same time gave a middle finger, and hammered his heart. There will be a period. Ha ha ha. Hidan also hammered his own heart, a brilliant smile appeared again, and with a string of inexplicable laughter, he turned and strode away. Sasori shook, and walked towards the Kingdom of Wind with a chuckle, and in the setting sun, the two staggered backs left in opposite directions. Friendship between men does not require too many words, only a gesture and a movement. He will understand, he will also understand. The status of the Puppet Clan in the Kingdom of the Wind is equivalent to that of the Uchiha clan. It has a pivotal significance and is also one of the pillars of the Kingdom of the Wind. At the Puppet Clan residence, during the regular morning meeting, many people showed up one after another, and soon the meeting place that could accommodate 100 people was crowded. 1/3 of them have a place to sit, and the remaining 2/3 are all kneeling on the ground. These people kneeling on the ground are all the hope of the Puppet Clan for the future. The strength of the people sitting in the front, that is, the stronger the person, the weaker the later. Why did so many elderly people come to the morning meeting today? Didn't they usually not attend the morning meeting? What happened? The few newcomers sitting at the back were full of doubts. Although there were always those chairs in the venue, they had never seen them seated so uniformly for so long. Make sure that all those sitting on the chairs are Jonin from the Kingdom of Wind. Take on various important positions in the Kingdom of Wind. What happened to the morning meeting where these people need to be present in person? I heard that a new person will come today, like the grandson of a 1,000-generation mother-in-law, and a genius as a puppet master. These people are all coming back to see him. A clever-looking newcomer sitting next to him explained to his companion cautiously. His voice was not soft, and even meant to show off, which was basically heard by everyone around him. Rookie, even the grandson of a 1,000-generation mother-in-law. There is no need to be so exaggerated, right? It's just that this explanation made those who asked before even more puzzled. It's not the first time that the Puppet Clan has joined a newcomer. I have never seen so many big people present. When Your Excellency Ebizo came yesterday, I occasionally heard him chatting with the elders. These new Sasoris are likely to become the next head of the Puppet Clan. The seemingly clever young man proudly spoke out the real reason, but when he finished speaking, several people around showed disdainful expressions. The news had spread throughout the puppet last night. A family. It's a lie. Even the grandson of a 1,000-generation mother-in-law shouldn't have such privileges. Who will convince him without the strength? Only the newcomer next to him who asked just now was surprised. The current family of the Puppet Clan is 1,000 generations, but the inheritance beyond the Puppet Clan's patriarch has never depended on blood ties, but on strength. Only the 10 Jinsong people who have inherited the symbol of rights can become a real family. Here is coming. The one called Sasori is coming. Just when the newcomer was full of surprise, the people around him exclaimed in a low voice. Not far from them, Chio and Ebizo brought Sasori into the sight of everyone, and there were others who appeared at the same time. Yi Kang in a purple battle suit. I want to be the owner of the house at such a young age. Stop teasing. Is he still carrying a puppet? 1,000 generations mother-in-law gave it to him, right? As soon as Sasori appeared, all the people who were kneeling on the ground suddenly began to make a loud noise, all of them questioning Sasori. Most of the Jonin who sat in the chair showed a sullen sneer. A family that had never met before and suddenly said that they would inherit the Puppet Clan is indeed unconvincing. You talked again. Chio squinted at Ebizo next to him. It was obvious that such a situation must be a good thing for Ebizo. This is an experience for children. The main thing in a good family is not to mingle with other people, but to have others respect him, be afraid of him, and want to gain a foothold among these people. It's no good not to step on them. Ebizo's mouth twitched. Since Chio has absolutely given Sasori the upper hand, he can only help his sister. This is Ebizo's method. Sasori wants to quickly gain a foothold in the Puppet Clan, and only has another shortcut. Let me introduce to everyone. This is my grandson Sasori. He has been living outside for a few years. Now he has passed the 3 tests of the Puppet Clan and will officially join the Puppet Clan. Chio didn't say much, but rather simply sat at the front of the venue, and declared directly to everyone. Hiss. When Chio said this, he suddenly remembered the sound of cold breath. How big is this? Have all 3 assessments passed? Is that a lie? It will take at least 5 years for the Puppet Clan to pass the assessment normally. There are countless people for more than 10 years, and there are not a few who have not even completed the 3 assessments to death. The most important thing is that these people present, except for a few people sitting on the chairs, basically failed to complete the 3 assessments. Without comparison, everyone is simply disdainful. With contrast, everyone becomes hostile and disdainful. From tomorrow on, he will be the head of the trial pavilion. While everyone was still in shock, Chio once again said something astonishing, and all of them suddenly exclaimed, "Master Chio, this is not in compliance with the rules." Kneeling in the first row, a young man in white immediately jumped up with an uncomfortable expression. The trial pavilion of the Puppet Clan is quite famous among the Puppet Clan. To be precise, it is the Tibetan scripture pavilion of the Puppet Clan. Many of the handbooks and experiences of the predecessors are hidden in it. The most important thing is that there are many predecessors made. Puppets design drawings and concepts. What is the most important puppet master? Of course it's a puppet. Therefore, every puppet master who is not completely independent wants to be able to enter the trial pavilion for refinement. Unfortunately, the true essence of the trial pavilion is not open to everyone, and only the pavilion master of the trial pavilion is eligible to enter the core area. The reason why the trial pavilion is called trial pavilion instead of the Tibetan scripture pavilion is because his pavilion master is produced through trials and is rotated every week. After becoming the pavilion master, it means that you can absorb the experience of the ancestors in the Tibetan scripture pavilion in the next week. Master Chio, this is not in line with the rules. I should still be the pavilion master tomorrow. Only if he wins the challenge tomorrow morning will he be eligible to become the new pavilion master. The white-clothed boy who jumped out was called Yin, and he was the leader among the newcomers of the Puppet Clan and the pavilion owner of this trial pavilion. Yin's face is extremely ugly. Although tomorrow is the day to change the pavilion master, he may not be able to hold the position of the pavilion master, but he will need to pass a challenge to change it. Losing to others, he is willing, but now what does it mean for Chio to let this inexplicable Sasori appear as the pavilion master of the next issue so directly? Even if you want to give your grandson privileges, this would be too blatant. Then you just refuse to accept it and go single. Before Chio spoke, Yi Kang, who was standing behind Chio, sneered at Yin with a mocking face. Yi Kang, although you have a special status, but the puppets have housework, where is your turn to speak? If Chio gave a reasonable explanation at this time, Yin would be fine, but it was Yi Kang who spoke. Yi Kang is a relatively special existence in the puppet family. It is said that her father died in the war to save Chio, so Chio always took her with her as a granddaughter. Yi Kang also lived up to expectations and rose rapidly in the Kingdom of Wind, and now has a lot of fame. However, Yin suddenly became popular, and now it was the morning meeting of the Puppet Clan. Yi Kang would still be an outsider even if he received more attention. Where did she interrupt her? Coupled with the rapid rise of Yi Kang over the years, she has never been able to look at them who have not yet independent puppet masters. There is almost no new generation of puppet masters who are used to seeing Yi Kang, and Yin is one of them. Sasori is not the only one who has completed the 3 assessments for the introductory part. As a rookie of the Puppet Clan, Silver who has spent 7 years completing the assessment. There are also Arrogant Capital, not to mention the true support that sits not far away from him. Forgot to say, this is my fiancé. From now on, I will also be a member of the Puppet Clan. It was only Silver's words that made the smile on Yi Kang's mouth even worse, and immediately snarled at Sasori, showing his identity. Many people turned their eyes to Chio, who had never spoken while sitting in the position. Chio smiled slightly, nodded, and acquiesced to this fact. Yi Kang is quite famous among the puppets because of his appearance and blood inheritance. Many people pursue her. Although many people have heard of Yi Kang's marriage contract, they have never seen the so-called one. Fiancé, but I didn't expect it to be Sasori. Suddenly Sasori filled the hatred of everyone around him. Why Sasori can get so many things they desire but cannot reach as soon as they appear. The qualification to speak in the Puppet Clan is not based on status, but on strength. I just want to be the pavilion owner when I first come. If you don't have strength, you will be laughed to death. Yin took a deep breath, glanced at the backer sitting not far away, looked straight at Sasori, and snorted immediately. Are you deaf? Didn't my daughter-in-law say it? Singled out. Sasori, who didn't speak until the end, pulled Yekora who was about to speak again, and immediately hooked his fingers. The crow was lifted from the bandage, stretched out forearms and lay on Sasori's body. Heads up, don't make me laugh. It's up to you. You are not the only one who passed the 3 assessments. Yin's expression became savage, and immediately opened the scroll, and a silver-white puppet appeared beside him. The silver puppet's main ingredient is obviously silver. As soon as he appeared on the stage, he made a series of metal collisions with the ground, and he had 3 heads and 6 arms, and 6 weapons of completely different shapes were held in his hands. The appearance alone was completely exploded. The Crow of Sasori. Want to be the Pavilion Lord? Follow the rules. As long as you beat me, you will be the Pavilion Lord of tomorrow. Yin sneered and took the lead when everyone didn't stop it. Yin can complete the 3 assessments of the Puppet Clan within 7 years, and become the assessment of the previous period, which shows that his strength is not weak, and the silver shot with anger does not have any hands. The 6 weapons of the silver golem attacked Sasori's crow from 6 precise angles. Although Silver was angry, he had not lost his mind, so the target of his attack was not Sasori, but the crow. He wants to defeat Sasori's crow in a short time. Once the puppet of the Puppet Clan is defeated, it is more cruel than killing him. Spider's web wall. Facing the silver puppet, Sasori did not change his expression. This was the first time he fought a puppet master of the Puppet Clan, but Sasori did not rush to use the crow to resist, but opened his right hand at the silver puppet. Suddenly a huge spider web connecting the ceiling and the ground was in front of Sasori. After a long period of training, Sasori's spider's web wall has gradually begun to take shape. The silver puppet hits the spider's web wall, and the spider's web wall immediately begins to stir, and countless thinner threads are separated from the thick web of one finger. Come out and trap the silver puppet in a blink of an eye. The puppet looks good and can't be eaten as a meal. Practicality is the most important thing. Silver's face changed. He didn't expect Sasori to make such a weird move. What shocked him even more was that he found that his puppet could not break free from the spider silk. Small bugs. Yin coldly snorted, and immediately prepared to control the puppet to launch a powerful attack to break free of the spider web, but he was still a step too late. The crow had already appeared in front of the silver puppet, with sharp blades extending from the center of the 4 palms and pierced into the silver puppet's 4. With a joint, the blade moved, and 4 of the silver puppet's 6 arms have been directly removed. The 4 sharp blades of the crow passed through the silver puppet and hovered in front of the silver. As long as 1 point further forward, it would pierce the silver skin. The sharp blade was stained with green liquid, which was obviously poisonous. Am I eligible now? Sasori sneered, fingers moved lightly, and the crow's jaws made a series of collisions, apparently mocking Silver's actions. Everyone was dumbfounded. Everyone knew about the strength of Silver. At that time, it was unexpected that Sasori was able to defeat the enemy with a single blow, and the dark-looking crow could even hover on the skin of Silver after penetrating the puppet. A control ability is something that many people on the field can't do. It's not enough. Yin just greeted you just now. He is a genius of the Puppet Clan. Transmogrified 1000 Fingers has completed the Transmogrified 6 Fingers, and Nianhua Wushwang has also reached the realm of 3 Nianlying Shadows. Yin, take out all of yours. Strength. Silver's face was extremely ugly. He didn't expect Sasori to move so fast, with strange moves and quick response. So that he has lost without showing all his strength at all. But he was unwilling to lose. Just when Silver was extremely unconvinced, Chio accepted Sasori's words and shook his head at Sasori, praising Silver's strength vigorously. It's Master Chio, but my Nianhua Wushwang just broke through the 4 senses not long ago. There was still some unconvinced Silver at first, but when I heard Chio's words, my brows were immediately pleased. The dissatisfaction with Chio making Sasori the pavilion owner instantly disappeared, and he raised his face triumphantly and told Chio of his latest achievements. It's just that Yin's smug expression matched the 4 blades hovering in front of him, which seemed ironic. Oh, isn't it? Let's do a good fight then. Don't start too hard. Chio smiled, then waved his hand at Sasori and exhorted him. Immediately Sasori retracted the crow and nodded. He understood that Chio's last sentence was to him, and he also understood Chio's meaning to let him use the puppet master's method to defeat Yin. Yes, Chio-sama, I must be merciful. Although Sasori understood Chio's meaning, Silver didn't know it, and he still looked excited, as if it wasn't him who had lost just now. On the contrary, many people sitting around looked suspicious, and shook their heads at Yin, who was still smug. The strength that Sasori showed just now is definitely not what an ordinary puppet master can accomplish. I'm afraid Sasori is the real one. The strength far exceeds Silver. The reason why Chio clearly praised Silver is just to tell Sasori about the strength of Silver. Idiot. Yi Kang didn't have the scruples of other people, and immediately sneered when he saw Yin's complacency. 4 machines at the same time. I won't give you another chance this time. Yin took a deep breath and immediately opened a beautiful scroll. This is his real puppet seal scroll. The crowd consciously vacated the venue for the two of them. Yin immediately roared, and 4 silver-white puppets appeared in front of Yin. This is his true strength to be able to sit on the pavilion master of the previous period. Chapter 31. Silver is actually able to operate with 4 machines at the same time. It seems that the position of the pavilion master in this session is probably still him, and Lu Feng and the Buddha are only masters with 4 machines at the same time. As soon as Yin shot, everyone in the field suddenly exclaimed. He was able to sit in the position of the pavilion master of the previous period. There were actually more elements of luck. Originally, the 2 most likely people were both injured and he was picked up. It's cheap, but now it's a 4-machine shooter, which is almost the same as the 2 rookies. Hee, some people still have the face to take out the puppets. What else did you just say? If you win me, you will be tomorrow's pavilion master. After one move is killed by a second, they can still take out 4 puppets in such a spirited manner. Puppet, tusk, cheeky. But when Yin was enjoying the gaze of everyone's worship, Yi Kang sneered, and Yin and Yang stared at Yin strangely. It didn't count just now. I was just careless. Yin's complexion immediately turned into pig liver color. When he said this, he never thought that he would lose. I never thought I would lose so thoroughly. However, Silver will not admit to the failure just now. Didn't you see that even Chio-sama just helped him speak? You can also say the same to the enemy on the battlefield, and see if the enemy gives you a chance. Yi Kang colded his face suddenly, staring at Yin with cold eyes. Yin's heart trembled suddenly, and a substantive murderous intent enveloped him. Well, geniuses with high self-esteem are like this. If you don't beat him to the point, he won't admit defeat. Just when Yin was stunned by Yi Kang's murderous intent, Sasori blocked Yi Kang's gaze and teased Yi Kang with a weird smile. Yi Kang immediately blushed and snorted coldly. She was indeed like this back then. As Sasori's voice fell, the same seal scroll appeared in his hand, and the black ant and the Sancho fish appeared next to the crow. Hey, he actually uses 3 machines. Sure enough, he has great capital, but his puppet looks so tattered. Suddenly a more exaggerated exclaim came from the crowd. Sasori's ability to play the crow so slip at a young age was beyond their expectation. It was unexpected that Sasori could control 3 puppets at the same time. It's just that these 3 puppets are all wearing ragged black cloaks, and their bodies are covered with scars and bloodline. The battle with Yi Kang a few days ago caused serious damage to the black ants, and Yan did not completely repair them. Not to mention the little scars on the Sancho fish and the crow. Unlike the members of the puppet clan who are not yet independent, the faces of the ninjas sitting on the chairs are indeed dignified. Although the silver puppets are defeated by Sasori in appearance, they can feel the Sasori's these things. The puppet is the real puppet used to kill. Sasori, who released the 3 puppets, hooked his fingers at Yin with a cold face. Yin Lima, who was still in surprise, had a feeling of being despised, and immediately opened his hands, and the 4 silver puppets moved at the same time, rushing in the direction of Sasori like a wolf. What everyone didn't expect was that Yan's 3 puppets suddenly changed their formations, with the black ant at the forefront, the crow at the second place, and the Sancho fish guarding Sasori's body. Black secret skill sacrifice. As Sasori yelled, the black ant slammed into the middle of the 2 silver puppets like a martyr. Boom! With a loud noise, the black ant exploded, and directly blew the 2 silver puppets to both sides. Black secret skills, 1 shot. The next moment the crow moved, and the 4 hands, plus the 6 hands that the black ants flew out, all showed the poisonous prophet at the bottom, shooting at the silver from the gap that was blown out, blocking all silver's retreat. When Yin hadn't recovered at all, the 10 sharp blades had reached the point of his whole body. The biggest assistant of the puppet master is indeed a puppet, but if it is a puppet that you can't control, it is a hindrance. You have reached the 4 minds, but you have not really practiced the 4 machines. This is your biggest failure. remember that the battle of the puppet master is not that the more puppets, the stronger the combat power. Sasori stared at Silver coldly, and had no interest in fighting Silver. The strength of a person may not be seen in one fight, but it is already obvious in 2 fights. Although Silver looks very powerful, it is actually a good-looking thing, nothing more than a mere appearance. You actually detonated your puppet. Not counting. Come again. This time. Yin was stunned for a long time, before shaking his Adam's apple with difficulty, and then gathered up the courage to roar. Although he lost again, but he was unwilling to lose, he was like a child in front of Sasori, and he couldn't find a place to force him at all. All he can do is shout. But Sasori didn't have the slightest interest anymore. With a finger hook, a poisonous blade support pierced Silver's skin. Before Silver's roar was finished, she fell to the ground. For a rookie like you who has no actual combat experience and thinks that the world is invincible, I am no longer interested. Sasori didn't even look at Silver anymore. Silver was like an embroidered pillow in his eyes. It didn't work. Originally, he wanted the puppet masters of the puppet clan to fight hard and increase the combat experience, but Sasori didn't have any. Feel the power of the puppet master. Although Sasori's 2 attacks were surprise attacks, Silver's response was really disappointing. Every time, he was shocked and stopped. Don't worry, it's a nerve anesthetic poison. He will be fine after 1 day of lethargy. Glancing at a middle-aged man sitting on a chair with a bad face, Sasori retrieved the remains of the Sancho fish, crows and black ants. Although Sasori doesn't know who this is, Silver casts his eyes on him many times during the interval between battles, and after Sasori puts the silver, he exploded with murderous intent, and he who dared to unscrupulously release murderous intent in front of Chio might not be God. Horse simple character. It's a shame that a puppet master will directly detonate his puppet, it's like abandoning his companion on the battlefield. This apparently Silver backstage person should be Silver's father. The appearance of the 2 is extremely similar. Silver's father snorted coldly, looking at Sasori who was cleaning up the remains of the black ant and mocked. If this companion really has a heart-to-heart with me, knowing that he is dead, he will definitely hit me at the moment of the crisis. It's the same for me. I will live on. His share. Sasori glanced at Yin's father faintly, and continued to pack the undamaged arm of the black ant, and then thought of Hidan in his mind. I believe that with Hidan's character, he will definitely stand in front of him for the first time, because he is immortal. What? Moreover, this is a puppet, not a human. The puppet can continuously regenerate from its cocoon and become stronger and stronger. I believe you have seen it just now. My black ant itself has been extremely traumatized. Time to fix it. It's better to let it play its remaining role and let me win the battle. He did not die, but became a stronger existence in the explosion. After breaking and standing, the next black ant rebirth will definitely be better than now. The effect is stronger than the repaired black ant. Did you say? Unexpectedly, you can't see through it. It seems that I take the elite of the puppet clan too high. After putting away all the remaining parts of the black ant, Sasori looked directly at Silver's father, showing a mocking look. The battle with Yikang caused the black ant to suffer a trauma that was difficult to repair. It would take a lot of time, energy and materials to repair it. Sasori has been hesitant to deal with the black ant, but fortunately Yin has already done it for him. Made a decision. Sasori was born with a poisonous tongue. He just said that he was justified and justified, making people speechless. Everyone present agreed with Sasori's words and immediately made Silver's father speechless and murderous. It's just that Sasori's face still doesn't matter, it's just his gaze. Okay, shut up. He has won twice. Does anyone have any opinions on who he is the pavilion master? If not, then the matter is settled. Chio glanced at Yin's father indifferently, waved his hand, and immediately someone lifted Yin down, and he didn't seem to want to ask everyone for their opinions and asked everyone, then he muttered to himself to end the topic. Yin's father took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He took the loss, but it was not that simple. Sitting on the chair and the newcomer did not say a word, Sasori directly defeated Silver twice in a short period of time. It has already shown his strength. He has a higher vision and has even seen it. Sasori is stronger than these people and is breaking the routine. In terms of item, Silver can be the master of the pavilion, luck is part of the reason, but the real strength is not weak. The first failure was because he underestimated the enemy, and the second time was because he detonated his puppet. For the puppet master, the puppet was just like their second life. Almost no one chooses to sacrifice their puppets to win the battle. Even if they have, they won't be in such a battle. This decisiveness and ruthlessness is definitely not something ordinary people can have. Everyone else will go down. There will be nothing to do with you next. After dealing with Sasori's affairs, Chiyo waved at the ordinary members. This time she recalled most of the elites of the puppet clan. Although Sasori showed his face was one of the reasons, it was not the main reason. The important thing is that there are new tasks assigned to the elites of the family. According to reliable sources, the other big countries did not stop their actions after World War II. Instead, they all began to intervene in the surrounding small countries. Many small countries have even become puppet regimes. The above means that we should also act. We puppets. As the mainstay of the Kingdom of Wind, the clan will send some people to join the surrounding small countries with special identities. Ruan, Zidong, this is your mission. Filiu, the northern section. After all the children who were still cultivating left, Chiyo simply said a few words to get to the point. Although World War II is over, the local war has never stopped. Everyone believes that the Third Ninja War will break out soon. Although the puppet clan is called the puppet clan, not all of them practice puppetry. Many members who have no talent for practicing puppetry still obtain considerable achievements by practicing ninjutsu, and now these people go out to enforce secrets with inconspicuous identities. Time for the task. The purpose of the Kingdom of Wind this time is also very simple. It is to control the movements of the small and large surrounding countries. For example, the Kawa no Kuni, which is caught between the country of the wind and the country of fire, has been determined to be Konoha's running dog, a goal of some people. It is to disturb the situation in the country of Kawano. Strive to split the country of the river, or let the country of the river continue to chaos, so as to achieve the effect of containing Konoha. Finally, there is one more thing to keep everyone from. The taboo experiment has started. This time you sign up voluntarily, and the master gives priority to puppetry. A series of tasks were arranged. Everyone could smell the smoke of war. But in the end, Chiyo's tone suddenly became heavy. Although she didn't like taboo experiments, she had to admit that she wanted a process that must go through to become stronger. Even if the Kingdom of Wind does not proceed, other countries are still in action. The atmosphere in the venue has become dull. No one wants to be an experimental mouse. It is very likely that they will never be able to get off after they are on the operating table. Moreover, the master has given priority to the puppet technique of combat power. What does Trial Pavilion do? Along with the atmosphere inside the venue, the atmosphere outside the venue was also dull. Everyone gathered in twos and threes and whispered to Sasori. Sasori could even feel full of malice. But Sasori didn't care at all, turning his gaze to Yi Kang. Although he became the so-called Trial Pavilion Master, he had no idea what this Pavilion Master was doing. There are great benefits. The Trial Pavilion is simply the essence of the puppet clan. It is divided into a cabinet and an outer cabinet. The outer cabinet is open to everyone, starting with the practice scripts of the ancestors, ninjutsu, puppet manufacturing, and poison formulas. There are also many puppets and poisons in the finished product. You need to pay a price if you want to obtain these things. It is usually merit, but it is more troublesome to obtain merit. The cabinet is the core area of the trial cabinet. It is only open to each cabinet owner for 7 days. I don't know what it looks like. Outsiders can't get in. Those cabinet owners never say what's inside. However, after each pavilion master comes out of it, his strength will be enhanced. Of course, there are also those who are not strong, but very few. Those who have become stronger have different enhancements every time, and some have new puppets. Some are their own control abilities. Anyway, it's weird, you'll know when you go in. Yi Kang briefly introduced the Trial Pavilion. To put it bluntly, the Trial Pavilion is a collective name for a Tibetan scripture pavilion and a martial arts field. Winning in the martial arts field will enable you to become the master of the cabinet for a week and enter the cabinet. As for what is in the cabinet, people like Yi Kang who do not have the ability to practice puppetry cannot know. Yi Kang also wanted to find out what was inside, but after observing those pavilions, he couldn't find the same thing, so he couldn't infer what was going on inside. Hello, I am the Buddha, I have 6 fingers illusioned, 4 thoughts go together, and 4 machines are in the same state. The strength of Lu Feng is about the same as mine, and it is the strongest among these people. Just when Sasori was lost in thought, a big bald man appeared in front of Sasori. Before he came, Yi Kang told Sasori about this person. The most popular puppet master in the whole family of puppets, the Buddha, as long as the Buddha is taken again the position of the pavilion master, he can participate in the war. All the newcomers of the puppet clan will only be officially graduated after they have obtained the position of pavilion master 3 times, or they will automatically graduate after 10 years of age. The salary after graduation is very different. As soon as the Buddha appeared with a faint smile, he directly told Sasori of his strength. At the same time, he clicked a little far away. A tall and thin figure sitting on a rock in a daze, wearing a blue and white robe, was a puppet clan. Wang Lufeng, another rookie among them. The only difference is that Lufeng rarely interacts with other people, and his daily life is very simple, either in a daze or practicing. So, although there is no hostility in the Buddha, he still does not understand the purpose of the Buddha's initiative to approach him. Although you will be the pavilion master for the next issue, tomorrow will be the day of the defense. You need to win everyone's wheel fight to enter the cabinet. So my suggestion is to repair your puppet. He and I are not silver. Rookie, the last issue happened to have been picked up by the cowardly egg of Yin for a bargain. The smile on the Buddha's face did not change, and a temperament was suddenly revealed. Suddenly, Sasori's face became serious. In Yin's body, Sasori didn't feel the blood of murder, but there was obviously such a smell in the Buddha's body. As the Buddha's temperament unfolded, Sasori suddenly realized that there was a slap big spider under his feet. The poisonous fangs have reached Sasori's skin. This is not a real spider, but a puppet spider. The Buddha actually completed a wave of sneak attacks during this time of talking with Sasori. And it was before Sasori knew it. If the Buddha was really going to plot against him just now, Sasori has been poisoned. Where is the forging room? Sasori took a deep breath, nodded at the Buddha, and immediately asked, since the Buddha has given him a warning, then it is impossible for Sasori to ignore it, and it's time to launch a counterattack. Follow me. With a slightly smug smile on the face of the Buddha, he was about to take Sasori to the forging room, but just as soon as he raised his steps, he froze and his face became extremely shocked. He didn't know when he was wrapped by a silk thread around his neck. He hadn't noticed when he was not moving. But as soon as it moved, a bloodstain was struck by this silk thread. Well, we are tied this time. The Buddha immediately understood that he really underestimated Sasori, and Sasori had other assassins that he didn't use besides the puppets. Immediately he hooked his finger, retracted the puppet spider on Sasori's leg, and waved his hand at Sasori. I won. Sasori sneered, but did not take back the silk thread entwined around the Buddha's neck. Even if the Buddha's puppet spiders carry deadly toxins, Sasori is confident that he will not die. He has already used string fruit's ability to stretch his entire leg. They are all sealed to ensure that the toxins will not spread. The big deal is one less leg. But the Buddha is different. As long as Sasori pulls with all his strength, the Buddha's head will be shaved off, and the neck is really hopeless. Well, I did lose. The Buddha smiled bitterly, and in the first confrontation with Sasori, he indeed lost. The kingdom of wind is poor in materials and the land is vast, so the puppet clan's territory is also very big. It took Sasori and Yi Kang around for a long time before the Buddha arrived to enter an underground passage. The more you go down, the higher the temperature, and Sasori immediately understood that the forging room of the puppet clan probably used ground fire. A clanging sound of crafting quickly spread to everyone's ears. In a special crafting room, Yan saw a master with white hair drawing a design drawing of a puppet. This is the best craftsman of our puppet clan, and he is known as the Higurashi master of skillful hand. After a simple salute, the Buddha respectfully accepted the white-haired old man in front of Sasori, who was the best puppet maker in the entire puppet clan. You are the grandson of 1,000 generations. I just heard that the person who sent in the materials said that you have defeated the silver. You are strong. You are here to make a puppet. Tell the old man about your requirements. Although the time is a bit in a hurry, it will start tomorrow. Before, the old man will definitely give you the puppet you are most satisfied with. Master Higurashi smiled, and promised to help Sasori forge a puppet without any airs, with a confident and proud look on his face. He made your puppets. Sasori frowned, suddenly woke up, and asked at the Buddha. Ordinary people are not qualified to get the master's work at all, and there are a group of ordinary puppet makers outside. The Buddha's face became cold, and Sasori's current attitude was really offensive to the master. Even Chiyo had to be polite when he arrived in front of Higurashi. Why, I can't believe in the old. When Chiyo was young, I helped her complete the first puppet. Thinking about the world, it's so fast. Master Higurashi was not at all angry, but showed a look full of nostalgia. So many years passed in a blink of an eye. When Chiyo debuted, he made the first puppet used. The little girl back then is now it is the head of the puppet clan. No, my puppets are all made by myself. I thought the puppets of the puppet masters were all made by myself. As soon as Sasori's words were uttered, Master Higurashi's brows suddenly raised. Sasori also understood that he had made a mistake, and immediately explained it. As Sasori said, he always thought that all the puppets of the puppet masters were made by himself. After all, Chiyo didn't tell him the content of this aspect at the time. He just lost a copy of Puppet Technique Forging Concept, and it was over. Oh, you mean you did it yourself to defeat the silver puppet? Can you borrow your puppet to have a look? Master Higurashi raised his brows, and he became a little surprised, and the expression of the Buddha became weird. At the request of Master Higurashi, Sasori lifted the bandage on the crow and controlled the crow to stand in front of him. Sure enough, it is not Chiyo's handwriting, nor is it the techniques and habits that we forged here. Although there are still many jerky techniques, but the sense of innovation is very strong. Good. Master Higurashi unceremoniously touched the crow's joints and torso, and even swiftly broke the crow to pieces. Almost all the places where Sasori had been installed were removed, and they were connected again in a blink of an eye. After going back, with just this hand, Sasori knew that the Higurashi master in front of him must be very good at making puppets. If the old man is right, these poisons are all refined by yourself, right? While inspecting the crow, Master Higurashi quickly affirmed the value of the crow, and tasted the venom on the blade, and then stared at Sasori with full of light. His expression became a little excited. Yes, is there any problem? Sasori knows the poison he refines by himself, but he never thought that after taking his poison, Master Higurashi didn't react at all. When asked by Master Higurashi, Sasori thought there was something wrong with the poison he had deployed. Ha 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 ha, good, good. The puppet family is hopeful for revitalization. But I didn't expect that after getting Sasori's affirmative answer, Master Higurashi laughed crazy, even with tears in his eyes. Not only Master Higurashi, but even the Buddha's face was shocked, as if he had seen a monster. Not everyone in the puppet clan has the talent to practice puppet art, so it is subdivided into 3 veins: the puppet maker who makes puppets, the poison modulator who prepares poisons, and the puppet master who controls puppets. For many years, no one has been able to do it at the same time. I have cultivated the 3 skills together, and more people have chosen a talented practice like the old ones. The last 3 veiled practitioner was your grandmother. After a long time, Master Higurashi returned to normal, and his expression was still slightly agitated to explain. The puppet clan has always been a very special existence in Sunagaku. The puppet clan was originally established by Menziman, and it is called Puppet Gate. It is a genre, but because the puppet technique is not inherited by blood, but by skill, so it is gradually declining, until a certain generation of sect master consciousness goes on like this. The puppet gate will be over sooner or later, so the puppet clan is formed. The puppet technique is subdivided into 3 veins, and the teaching in accordance with their aptitudes preserves the inheritance of the puppet technique. However, although this has allowed the puppet technique to be passed down, the strength of the puppet master is still inferior to 1 generation. This can be seen from the number of candidates who can control the nearly 10 people. In the 1,000 generations, no one can even follow her. Compete for the position of patriarch, because besides her, no one can perfectly control the 10 songs. Needless to say, the benefits of the 3-channel fellow practitioners are always clearest. What you need is the puppets and poisons you create by yourself. You can know the details and use the problems as soon as you use them. It is easy to change them, but the puppets refined by others are not. It's that simple. First of all, it needs a running-in process with the puppet. The 3 books that Chiyo gave to Sasori at the beginning represented the essence of the 3 veins. Chiyo originally meant to let Sasori touch everything and choose the direction of his future practice. However, Chiyo did not expect that Sasori was even better than her. Genius. It turned out to be a fellow practitioner of the three vessels. And the whole line has shown excellent talents, especially the practice of puppet art. Even Menziman back then was not as fast as Sasori's entry speed. Oh, can you lend me a crafting room then? After understanding the problem, Sasori just nodded and entered the topic. For Sasori, there is no difference between these and he is more accustomed to relying on himself than letting others help him. Don't be arrogant. Okay. I will lend you this forging room for the old man. What materials do you need, but can you let the old man watch the forging process? Master Higurashi originally was a little bit worried that Chiyo wouldn't tell Sasori about these things if he was afraid that he would become arrogant after knowing this, but now it seems that his worries are completely unnecessary. He immediately expressed his willingness to lend his forging room to Sasori, and he was also willing to provide all the materials, but he wanted to see the process of Sasori making puppets. In addition to making puppets, the greatest joy of Master Higurashi was to witness the rise of geniuses. Sasori has figured out many ways of making puppets by himself, and maybe he can find some new creative inspiration in Sasori's body. Yes, but they can't. Sasori agreed without hesitation. Sasori knew very well that there would never be a way out behind closed doors. It is an idiot to have such a master here to ask for advice, but except for the master, Yikang and Buddha are not popular in the ranks. Forget him, why can't I? As soon as Yikang heard this, he immediately became angry, rolled his eyes and began to question Sasori. A lot of my organs and forging materials are aimed at your scorch style. If you can't hold you down next time, you won't be riding on me. And your eyes tell me that's what you think. Sasori spoke out the real reason without mercy, and he was even more sure that his thoughts were right from the dodge eyes of Yikang. Although Yikang had already accepted his fate, but he lost, was beaten by Sasori, and won. To be strong on Sasori is completely two concepts. Yikang is obviously preparing to bring back the previous defeat, so he has been encouraging him all the time. Sasori fights and wants to watch the process of Sasori making puppets. She wants to use these to formulate turnaround tactics. Humph, it's a pity that Sasori can see through it easily now. Yikang snorted and walked out of the forging room. Master, this is the design drawing of the catching puppet Black Ant. See if there are any problems. After Yekora left, Sasori handed over the Black Ant design that he had previously designed to Master Higurashi. Before doing it, he wanted to make some optimizations to the design. Since the Black Ant was cut in half by Yikang before, it was more difficult to repair it, so Sasori decisively detonated him in the competition with silver, so now only the design drawings are left. Made by ants. Capture type. Do you have other types? When Master Higurashi heard that Sasori's puppets had a prefix, the spirit came immediately. For so many years, the puppets made by the puppet maker have continued the Menziman manufacturing philosophy. Except for some special puppets, most of them are human battles. Puppet, all attributes are fully developed. Even if someone makes special puppets occasionally, they do not subdivide the puppet production. This is an attacking crow, a catching black ant, and a defensive Sancho fish. Classify the puppets and use them exclusively. Good idea. This is a breeze for the puppet masters who have completed Nianhua Wushwang. This is equivalent to two ninjas who have the same mind and can complement each other's strengths and cooperate with each other to attack. Sasori immediately showed the defensive Sancho fish. Higurashi Master's eyes brightened a bit, and he immediately figured out the key. The overall development of a puppet is equal to mediocrity, and there is no special feature. For a puppet master who can control two puppets at the same time, a puppet after classification will be stronger than a puppet that uses two balanced development. Unexpectedly, these years are not as thorough as the kid. You don't waste time. Look at the design of your puppet. Although you have designed 5 joints, the joints in this place don't have much substantial effect, and it's easy to be caught by the enemy and weakly clicked. Once defeated, this arm is useless. With emotion again, Master Higurashi picked up Sasori's black ant design drawing, and directly touched the black ant's 6 arms and began to cut to the topic. I clicked on a place that Sasori was about to modify. The 6 arms of the black ant. Sasori designed multiple joints to make it more versatile. But after the actual battle with Yekora, Sasori has planned to change this. Designed, catching black ants do not need such complicated joints. The materials you used before were composite materials. It is generally not recommended to use composite materials. No matter how good the splicing is, there will be gaps, which will cause the operation of the puppet body for various reasons. So we all use different materials to make different the same puppet with different torso, for example. It is a very common way to make puppets by injecting solid iron into hollow wood, but instead of using forged iron, molten iron can be used to ensure that the iron body is completely welded to the wood material. Of course, this is a particular way of making puppets, skill-based. Experts know if there is any as soon as they take action. Next, Master Higurashi gave some opinions on some problems in the design of black ants. Master Higurashi did not want to destroy Sasori's creativity and talent in puppet manufacturing, so the problem of design, he just pointed out some basic errors, more about the use of materials and the teaching of some forging techniques. Sasori was very excited all night. Although he had 1,000 generations of puppet forging ideas, the book is dead after all. Many things are taught by words and deeds, which are more meaningful than reading. When Sasori pushed open the door of the workshop the next morning, Yikang and the Buddha stood at the door with 2 dark circles under their eyes. Obviously, neither of them slept well this night. The trial pavilion of the puppet clan can be regarded as the foundation of the entire puppet clan. Just by looking at the geographical location, the entire puppet clan was built with the trial pavilion as the center. It is said that Menziman was the puppet gate built here. This is the trial pavilion. There are so many people today. Many newcomers from Sanmai have come here to watch you. That is your position. As long as you can still stand in that position after noon, then if you succeed in the challenge, or if you beat everyone again, everyone is only eligible to challenge once. If no one is gone, you will naturally win. The trial pavilion looked unremarkable, but it looked like a shrine. On the contrary, the martial arts field in front of the trial pavilion was more magnificent. When the Buddha arrived with Sasori and Yikang, the martial arts field was already full of people. As the Buddha said, most of the 3 lines of the puppet clan are present. Except for the puppet master line, which has the right to enter the cabinet, the other 2 lines have no such right, so they are not counted in the list of fights. However, after they heard that Sasori had killed the silver spike as soon as he came, they became the new ringmaster, and they were personally received by Master Higurashi. Everyone seems to have seen the rise of 1,000 generations. As a witness to history, so they came. Come here quite early. An hour later, I will enter the formal defense. I will let you know what I really am. The silver that Sasori put in last night looked at Sasori with disdain. Although he had heard of Sasori's deeds, he didn't feel any fear at all. Instead, he was immersed in the fantasy of defeating Sasori. Sasori's the higher the achievement, the more attention you will receive after defeating him. And Silver is not an idiot. After losing twice in a row, he has realized that Sasori is better than him. But this time he has a stronger hole card. It is also a winning hole card. Let's start. With the smile of the winner, Yin pretended to be very energetic and began to remind Sasori, and he was also ready to speak harshly. Regardless of his words, the crow that Sasori had directly liberated, stared at him coldly for 2 consecutive times. The second men failed, nothing more than rubbish. Start now. Yin was stunned at once. No pavilion owner had ever started early, and every pavilion owner hated it too much to delay a little time so that the ring match could be delayed until noon. Don't waste my time, will you come first? Sasori's gaze looking at Silver was like looking at a dead person, and the crow followed Sasori's mouth and prepared to attack. Okay, all, rest first. Humph, as the previous pavilion master, I have the privilege of being the last one. Sasori's gaze immediately caused Silver's anger to begin to burn, and he almost said, I'll come first. This sentence, just halfway through, I suddenly remembered something, and forcibly changed the last word into rest. This blunt change in tone immediately made the people onlookers laugh, and Yin looked at the people around him with uncharacteristically contemptuously. According to the rules, the previous pavilion owner can choose the last one to play, or he can choose to play in advance. Often the previous pavilion owner will choose to play in the last game. Get away if you don't fight, don't waste my time, who will come first? Sasori sneered, cast a sideways glance at him, and then turned his gaze to the others. Immediately, a young-looking puppet master walked in front of Sasori. His legs were trembling, and he released his puppet in a hurry. At first glance, he was the kind of puppet used for practice at the first level. Are you kidding me? When such a person came to power, Sasori's eyes became even colder immediately. This person knew at first glance that he had just started to use the puppet master and had no combat experience at all. No, I just started. According to the rules, I am the weakest, so I am number 1. You must play, and you can't surrender after you play. It is said to increase combat experience. Failure is also considered as an experience, so please act lightly a little. The puppet master immediately became more flustered when he saw Sasori's eyes, but when he thought that Sasori was a newcomer, he immediately began to explain, and when he said that, he lowered his head and looked at Sasori with a little fear. Muttered weakly. Ha ha ha. There was a laugh all around. Puff. Sasori's face went dark and his fingers moved, and the crow appeared in front of the newcomer instantly, hit his chest fiercely, knocked him out, and knocked those who were laughing at him to the ground fiercely. Rubbish. Sasori stood in front of the newcomer, stepped on his chest, and said condescendingly, remember what I said about you today. The battle can be lost, but the will cannot be lost. It is not shameful to fail in a battle. No one can win forever. You are weak, and I will not look down on you, because no one knows what will become of human beings in the future. Maybe you are the next head of the puppet clan. I look down on the reason for you is that you think you will lose before you fight, and you don't even have the courage to do it. No one is born strong, and so am I. Sasori's strong performance instantly shocked everyone, and the insulting action made the teenager who was stepped on him tremble all over, almost crying. Looking at the opponent condescendingly, Sasori's eyes were extremely firm. He slowly swept through all the people who suddenly feared him, and everyone was in awe involuntarily. At the beginning, because I was weak, others looked down on me, insulted me, despised me, and even wanted to kill me, but she is now under my boast. Can you feel the thrill of a counterattack? No, the face is given by others, and the face is lost by yourself. Rubbish. Remember today's shame, and use this as a motivation to become stronger. Turning his gaze to the rookie puppet master at his feet, he repeated the word garbage again. At this moment, Sasori makes everyone feel so handsome. Of course, the only person who made a cold snort was Yi Kang, who was accused of being scolded by Sang Wei. Even so, he couldn't help but look at Sasori more. It turned out that Sasori was serious. This man is attractive. I will definitely become stronger. Wait for it. The newcomer struggled from the ground, wiped away his tears, snarled loudly at Sasori, turned around and left the martial arts arena. It doesn't make sense for him to stay here. It's better to go to Kaido to continue practicing. The corner of Sasori's mouth facing the crowd slightly curved, and he returned to his position. He didn't know why he did this, and he didn't know why he wanted to tell this boy. Maybe it was because Sasori was in his position. I can see the shadow of myself in the beginning. In a place that everyone can't see, all the high levels and elites of the puppet clan and 3 lines gather together. After the pavilion master of this period is decided, it will be time for these elites with missions to set off. It is here to see them off, and perhaps this will be the last time everyone will meet. Not only is the strength strong, but the heart is also very strong, and the future is limitless. It seems that the age of young people may really come. Master Higurashi was in it. With a smile full of emotion, Master Higurashi sighed deeply. Nor look at whose grandson it is. The corners of Chio's mouth were also curved, and he teased proudly, while everyone squashed their mouths nearby. Perhaps it was Sasori's previous remarks that came into play. The newcomers who originally just wanted to leave the field each showed a spirit of 120,000 points. Sasori didn't show any mercy either. The improved crow showed in his hands. With such a powerful force, no one can hold on for more than 3 minutes under his hand, but everyone who fought with Sasori was basically convinced. I don't know if they don't fight, only when they really face Sasori and fight him can they feel the real power gap between the two. And many people have benefited a lot. When Sasori is in a good mood, he will give advice to a very few puppet masters. Yes, these inexperienced rookies will be surprised. Many people have turned Sasori from black to fan. Up, identified with his strength and status. I thought he would avoid a war of attrition, but he couldn't think of his strength being crushed all the way. I didn't expect his strength to be so strong. He has 3 puppets. Up to now, he has only used one. I guess you and me it's all gone, but he's right. It's really rubbish to surrender without a fight. Are you coming first or me first? Looking at Sasori's battle, the Buddha was completely speechless, and finally got an intuitive understanding of Sasori's fighting methods. Sasori's battles are not like them, they fight for victory, but Sasori fights to kill each other. In battle, there is an essential difference between the two, and the aura alone is not at the same level. Although Sasori showed strong strength, the Buddha would not back down. He immediately asked Lu Feng. After seeing Sasori's strength, he knew that neither he nor Lu Feng had a chance to win. He played first and then played. In fact, there is not much difference. Lu Feng, please advise, I won't keep your hands. Lu Feng didn't have any nonsense, and immediately walked towards Sasori, nodded at Sasori expressionlessly, and directly released his puppet. Following Lu Feng's shot, 3 humanoid puppets with swords appeared in front of him. As soon as Lu Feng appeared, the entire martial arts field was quiet. Everyone understood that the real battle was coming. I heard that you are also a 4-machine operation, why do you only have 3? Sasori nodded. Without a word, he directly released the black ant and the Sancho fish. For opponents like Lu Feng, he might fail at the moment, but what makes the writer puzzled is that, according to the Buddha, Lu Feng should he had reached the state of 4 machines at the same time, but now only 3 puppets appeared in front of him. You said that if you can't control a puppet, it is an obstacle. The battle of a puppet master is not that the more puppets, the stronger the combat power. Lu Feng still answered Sasori's question expressionlessly, and immediately Sasori understood that Lu Feng's 4th puppet was not particularly skilled in manipulating it, so he didn't take it out. To deal with this kind of facial paralysis, Sasori really has no interest in talking, so he nodded and took the lead. The black ant's abdomen opened wide, and dozens of venomous flying needles immediately shot at Lu Feng's 3 puppets. Lu Feng's 3 puppets leaned on their bodies to block this wave of attacks, and left and right 2 puppets at the same time. 1 left and 1 right attacked towards Sasori's position. The puppet in the middle firmly protected Lu Feng behind him, and threw the 2 long knives in his hands as weapons to attract firepower. As soon as the Sancho fish moved, it blocked the attack of the 2 long swords and completely blocked Sasori's figure behind. The crow and the black ant collided with the 2 puppets. Before Lu Feng could activate the mechanism on the puppets, an amazing scene appeared. A blade suddenly appeared behind the puppet hit by the crow. Before Lu Feng had recovered his senses, the blade split into 2, one left and the other misaligned, and his puppet was cut in 2 in an instant. And 2 sharp blades nailed 2 broken puppets to the ground in an instant. No matter how Lu Feng manipulated, the 2 puppets could not break free from the 2 blades that pierced them. Lu Feng immediately directed another puppet to continue attacking Sasori, and tried to divert firepower to control the puppet in front of him to contact the other 2 puppets. But Lu Feng discovered at this time that his other puppet couldn't move either. The 6 arms of the black ant are like chains, binding the puppet tightly, and the big and sharp jaws of the body rushed towards Lu Feng's last puppet. No matter who it is, it has been seen at this time. Although Sasori's puppet is not good looking, it has completely defeated Lu Feng's puppet. This is a complete suppression on the puppet and has nothing to do with strength. At the same time, the crow also passed the 2 halves of the puppet, shot a few poisonous needles, and rushed towards Lu Feng. Lu Feng quickly blocked the poisonous needle and was about to launch an attack, but the neck was already held by a kunai behind him. Sasori didn't know when he would appear behind him. But Sasori, who was supposed to be kept behind the Sancho fish, has disappeared. I lost. Lu Feng's face changed slightly, but he quickly responded to the reason. Although he had expected that he would lose, he didn't expect to lose so thoroughly. Not only did the puppet lose, but it also lost thoroughly in terms of combat experience. The battle of the puppet master is not just the puppets fighting. Sasori took back his own suffering and told him Lu Feng's biggest mistake. Not only Lu Feng, but Sasori has fought with only a few puppet masters so far, all of which are the same problems. The puppet master completely ignored himself. Combat capability. Lu Feng nodded a bit and said no more. Although he lost very quickly in this battle, he gained a lot. Just when Lu Feng was about to leave the field, he suddenly turned his head and said to Sasori nonchalantly, "Be cruel to the fool, you are welcome." Just when Sasori didn't react, the Buddha was already on the field with a wry smile, and Sasori only realized who was the fool Lu Feng was talking about. I won't introduce myself, let you see my real strength, be careful not to lose. The Buddha still seemed relatively relaxed, and he was still in the mood for joking. Soon he released his puppet. A large and exaggerated puppet spider appeared on the martial arts stage. It was almost the same as the real spider, and could not see the reality at all. What is the combat capability? This is your puppet. This is the first time Sasori has seen a regular special puppet after entering the puppet clan. The humanoid puppet tactics are not changed, but Sasori doesn't know how the puppets of the Buddha fought. Hey, don't underestimate my puppet. Although I don't have the ability to make puppets, I practice all my poison myself, but there is no antidote. Spider secret skill eruption. The Buddha showed a triumphant expression, immediately shaking his fingers. The puppet spider began to shake his mouthparts, revealing black and purple fangs. Although there are no three veiled fellow practitioners in the puppet clan, there are still not a few people who cultivate both. Futu is one of them, and his puppet is specially tailored to match his poison. The Buddha yelled, and the puppet spider immediately turned around and pointed its huge belly at Sasori. The puppet spider's abdomen contracted for a while, and dozens of puppet spiders the size of a palm were sprayed out instantly, and each spider was ticking with viscous venom. The Buddha grinned, 10 fingers moved, and dozens of puppet spiders moved together in a dense crowd, rushing to Sasori with great momentum. Sasori immediately saw the doorway. Although the pompousness seems to control a dozen puppets at the same time, the puppet spiders do not have high requirements for operation, so even if the number increases, it will not have a big impact. The Buddha does not count on these small ones. Spiders can cause much damage to the enemy, but they are expected to spread the venom on their bodies. As long as the enemy is poisoned, the Buddha will win half. Dropping ruffian string. Sasori smiled and took out his other assassin. His right hand stretched out into the sky, and dozens of transparent silk threads fell from the sky and nailed a group of small spiders to the ground. Nothing was spared. Although Sasori has been practicing puppetry, but the ability of string fruit has never fallen. Dropping ruffian string is the ability of his latest master. What? Spider shield. Suddenly, this was the first time someone broke his little spider wave with such a weird technique. Of course, it was astonishing and surprised. The movements of the Buddha's hand were not slow, and the big spider puppet suddenly moved in front of him. The next moment a ding jingle bell sound came from the body of the big puppet spider. Sasori launched a double attack. While dropping ruffian string shot, he also controlled the crow to launch a poisonous needle attack. Not only that, the crows and black ants themselves rushed towards the place where the Buddha was located, and only the Sancho fish stood in front of Sasori. Hey, spider secret skills venom. The crows and black ants rushed forward. The Buddha didn't startle, but a smile appeared. With a move of his right hand, his abdomen faced Sasori's puppet spider surging again, and the sky full of colorful venom enveloped the entire martial arts field. After the crow and black ant were touched by the venom, there was a corrosive sound immediately. Not only that, but the forward flutter was also slowed down. These venoms were specially made by him last night, with strong stickiness, although they could not be immediate sticking crows and black ants together, but can greatly reduce their speed, and that's enough. Spider secret skill spider burst. The little spider that was nailed to the ground by the dropping ruffian string instantly exploded under the control of the Buddha, and countless shurikens with venom splashed all over. Cover the entire martial arts field. Although Sasori was defended by Sancho fish, he couldn't raise his head even after being beaten. After the spider explosion was over, the giant puppet spider appeared in front of the Sancho fish with the attack of crows and black ants. The puppet Spider-Man stood up, and the two sharp forelimbs were stabbed fiercely. Sancho fish was pierced instantly, and Sasori behind the Sancho fish was also pierced. There was a burst of exclamation from the entire martial arts field. Futu frowned slightly. It was so smooth. If Sasori was so easy to deal with, he would not stand until now. Sure enough, in the next instant, the Buddha discovered that the pierced Sasori turned into a single thread. The real Sasori had already emerged from the ground and appeared behind him. It was also a silk thread that strangled the Buddha's neck. As long as Sasori used force, he could cut off his head. If I were you, I would hide the body in the puppet spider at the moment the little spider exploded, and then create a clone to attract firepower outside, and launch a sneak attack when the enemy thinks it is hit. History is always surprisingly similar. I never thought I would lose again, and the way I lost was the same. I don't know when I was strangled by the silk thread. Fortunately, this battle was not lost, at least Sasori gave a good tactical suggestion. Of course, this tactical suggestion is what Sasori has already used. Sasori will often discard the tactics used once. Once the whole card is shown, it is no longer a whole card. After the battle with the Buddha was over, Sasori's gaze swept away from the crowd again, and he directly ignored the proud silver face, turned around and walked to the trial pavilion. Wait, I haven't played yet. Yin was taken aback, and his anger surged again. Sasori saw him clearly, but he deliberately ignored him. Sasori, who was called to stop, glanced at Yin indifferently, and said impatiently, "Oh, there are you, I forgot, but if I were you, I would no longer be insulted, not only waste my time as also wasting your time. You, humph, I will let you know how good I am." Feeling the deep contempt, Yin immediately put down his cruel words and directly released his puppet. This is his whole card this time. Two dark metal puppets appeared in front of the silver one from the left to the right. The metal puppets were full of a hideous aura, and a huge murderous aura filled the audience with the appearance of the puppets. It's the puppet of Elder Yinzibiao, known as the strongest defensive Tai Nan. No wonder Silver is so emboldened. As soon as the silver puppet came out, everyone screamed in exclamation. These two metal puppets are well known in the entire puppet clan, the pinnacle of Master Higurashi, known as the most defensive puppet. During World War II, many famous ninjas died in the hands of this Iron Man. It's too much for you to do this. In the distance, Master Higurashi's face became extremely ugly, and the eyes of his father staring at Yin also became bad. HMPH, you sent me to be an undercover agent, and you can't use puppets. It doesn't make sense to keep the Iron Man, so I passed him on to my son. Is there any problem? Yin Zibiao snorted coldly. This time he was included in the secret mission assigned by the Kingdom of the Wind. He will change his identity and join the Kingdom of the Earth. In this way, his puppets will no longer be used. The puppet family is the wind. Unique to the kingdom, once used, it means that his identity is about to be exposed, so he gave the two puppets to his son, and let his son earn a good face for himself. The two most defensive puppets in the clan will be destroyed because of your willfulness. Yin Zibiao's explanation was reasonable, and everyone who had been quite suspicious also shut their mouths, but Master Higurashi sighed with regret. What he said too much was not because he was worried that Sasori would lose, but because his culmination work was about to be destroyed. Tetsuo is considered the best work of Master Higurashi in recent years. Such works are equivalent to his children, but he watched. His own child was destroyed, which made him a little uncomfortable. Yin Zibiao was immediately speechless by Master Higurashi. At the same time as Master Higurashi and Yin Zibiao had a conversation, the battle on the field had begun. The crow and the black ant made a tentative attack again, with the poisonous needle shooting in a row, but the attack on Tetsuo could not cause damage to Tetsuo at all, even the crow's sharp blade was frequently blocked by Tetsuo. How? Be scared. As long as you kneel on the ground and admit that you are inferior to me, I will let you go. Failure is not terrible. As long as you remember today's shame, use it as a motivation to become stronger. There was still some worrying silver in my heart. After seeing that Sasori's attack was completely ineffective, his self-confidence immediately swelled again and became extremely proud, with a sullen face learning the way Sasori was before, and starting to speak harshly. At this moment don't mention how cool the silver heart is. He seemed to have seen Sasori knocked to the ground by him. It stands to reason that a supporting role like you can only live 2 episodes. It is really not easy for you to live until now. Sasori shook his head. People like Silver are typically bright with a little bit of sunlight. Just giving him a little advantage, he once again revealed Laozi's invincible face. Immediately, Sasori was not talking nonsense, and took all the puppets and walked straight to the Silver. Ha ha ha. Why? Want to surrender? What did you say before? What I look down on the most is people who don't even have the courage to fight. Don't surrender in a hurry. Struggle again. Yin saw that Sasori had taken the puppet back, and walked towards him like this. He was stunned for a moment, but immediately he thought that Sasori was about to surrender, laughed openly, and mocked Sasori's previous appearance and tone again. Sasori's previous battles, the most disgusting thing for that silver is the comments after each battle. Who do you think you are? Not only the silver, but all the onlookers frowned, completely wondering what Sasori wanted to do. If Sasori really surrendered, then those things he said before in the established image would be like farting. Parasite string. But when everyone didn't know why, Sasori suddenly stretched out his right hand towards Yin. Snapped. Just when everyone didn't figure out what was going on, Yin suddenly gave himself a mouth. The blow was so fierce that the entire martial arts arena was clear and Yin's face instantly swelled up. What did you do to me? There is a kind of. Yin's expression has become extremely frightened, and he realizes that he has lost control of his body. Shut up, you just need to watch and listen quietly, and slowly realize your fear. Your pride and strength are not as good as rubbish in front of me. Sasori's finger hooked and he didn't want to listen to nonsense. The thread used to suture Hidon's wound appeared on Yin's mouth and directly sealed his mouth. Yin could only say, woohoo. Wailing. Sasori did not move the silver, but walked in front of the two puppets that claimed to be the strongest defense. Sasori used 5 color strings, and the extremely sharp thread could only leave a shallow mark on Tetsuo's body. The materials that make up Tetsuo are obviously much stronger than Sasori imagined. Seeing that Sasori was still unable to do harm to Tetsuo, Yin immediately made a smug sound with his mouth closed. No matter how strong the defense is, as long as it can move, there will be gaps, and if there are gaps, it will be possible to break the defense. Monochromatic line. Sasori sneered. Yin still did not figure out the situation, and immediately flicked his index finger, and a single color thread stretched out from his fingertips, and the single color thread as thin as a hair directly pierced into Tetsuo's joints. In Yin's horror and incredible expression, the two puppets directly knelt to the ground, their knee joints destroyed. With Sasori's subsequent actions, everyone fell into a sluggishness, and what Sasori showed in front of everyone was no longer a battle, but a textbook-style puppet decomposition display. It is the puppet who claims to be the strongest defensive. Look, as long as the support points are destroyed, the puppets with strong defenses can stand up. Although the puppets are different from humans, their body structure is similar to that of humans. The outer defensive bones are actually very fragile, and it becomes very easy to dismantle them and decompose them. The 2-meter-high Tetsuo suddenly knelt down in front of Sasori, as if surrendering to him. The joints on Tetsuo's knees had been completely destroyed by Sasori. Sasori's hands kept moving, with all the monochrome lines coming out, constantly piercing through the gaps in the armor on Tetsuo's surface, and in front of everyone, began to peel the metal armor on Tetsuo's surface layer by layer. Peel it off. Everyone looked at Sasori dumbfounded, especially the newcomers of the Puppet Maker line. Sasori's techniques were extremely skillful. The 2 iron men were quickly broken down into pieces of material in front of him, even their masters might have done so. Can't do such a thing. Sasori moves too fast. It's as fast as if he is the maker of these 2 iron men. And Sasori's movements are getting faster and faster, and the 2 iron men have disappeared in a blink of an eye. There is only one place of metal material. This is the horror of the fighting puppet maker. All the puppets in front of him are just corpses waiting to be dissected. The corners of Master Higurashi watching the game from a distance curled up. Although his pinnacle work was broken up in front of him, he didn't feel depressed at all. On the contrary, he felt rejoiced. The 2 puppets were exchanged. The rise of a genius puppet maker is worth it. Yin Zibiao's expression was darkened with oil, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes, but he did not speak, but pressed all his emotions to the bottom of his heart. They are indeed 2 good puppets. It is a pity that the owner who used him did not take good care of them. Many small parts inside have been damaged, which is difficult to repair. Fortunately, most of the main body materials are not damaged at all. I will accept the good material transformation. Thank you for your sponsorship. In return, I will give you a good dream. On the battlefield, Sasori looked at the material removed from Tetsuo with satisfaction, and then sealed it all in the scroll. With a weird smile, Sasori popped a poison needle directly from his sleeve and hid it quickly. Got silver. Ah, help, don't come near me, go away, go away. The silver that had his mouth closed, suddenly his complexion became sullen, and the thread that sewed his lips suddenly pierced the skin of his mouth, and a terrifying howling sounded from his mouth. The poison needle used by Sasori is a byproduct of the refining of dream, and its only function is to induce hallucinations, which can evoke the fear of the person who has been hit to the maximum. I don't know what kind of illusion Yin fell into to become like this. What do you want to do? Yin Zibiao in the dark finally couldn't help it when his only son wailed, but before he was dispatched, 2 elites of the puppet clan had appeared beside him one by one. The poison needle directly pierced his body, instantly losing his strength. Yin Zibiao stared at the 2 companions who suddenly attacked him in shock and anger. He never thought that he would be attacked by his own people. Sorry, your mission has changed. The taboo experiment requires an excellent experimenter like you, and your son will also go with you. Chio glanced at him indifferently, and soon changed his mission, and at the same time announced his son's latest mission. You think? Yin Zibiao showed a look of horror, just about to say something. The poison in his body has completely taken effect, and even the strength to speak has been deprived. Chio no longer looked at Yin Zibiao, but turned his gaze to one of the members who had attacked him and said, Quinn, you replace the elder Yin Zibiao to complete his hidden mission. During the action, put his henchmen together. Give it to those people and say that this is the person we participated in the taboo experiment. Thanks to Elder Yin Zibiao for helping me make this decision. Quinn nodded, and then left the scene with another person with Yin Zibiao. At the same time, several Elder Yin Zibiao's party members were attacked together, and they were taken away from the scene without even having a chance to speak. Qiandai is very clear about Yin Zibiao's character. He has always been ambitious and narrow-minded. He must report his faults, otherwise he would not give his puppet to him for revenge because of his son's failure. Now Sasori has won the silver for the 3rd time, and has also dismantled his puppet in front of so many people, leaving Silver in the illusion that life is worse than death. Even if he does not act in person, it will be disadvantageous to Sasori behind it. Click Chio to see it thoroughly. Originally, the Kingdom of Wind wanted the people of the puppet clan to conduct taboo experiments. Chio had been hesitating because he was not willing to let his clan members not only fulfilled the high-level requirements of the Wind Nation, but also helped Sasori eradicate a potential crisis. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.